Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to stand before you today to present a presentation about an important topic. This actually is very, I would say, important in a sense. It is called like the new cannabinoids. The problem with this topic is it started as called legal highs, okay? From the name, you can, I would say, detect that is it legal or illegal? The name shows it is legal actually to use those type of drugs. But we'll go through them and we'll see if it is legal to use them. I will be explaining a few things about the timeline of synthesizing those and of course the legalization process of these drugs, I would say worldwide, and we'll be emphasizing, of course, on Kuwait. So we'll start with defining what are legal highs, what are their timeline, what are their chemistry, what are their pharmacology, and of course other effects like physical and psychological effect. And we'll be ending with legalization and control. We'll be talking about the problems and the process of legalizing those drugs. Okay. Legal highs are also known as herbal incense. They are dried smokable plant material, herbs, and those herbs are sprayed with synthetic compounds. Those compounds are cannabimimetics. Cannabimimetics, those are only one part of a new psychoactive substances. This term MPS is used right now a lot. So cannabimimetics, as the term denotes, is part of the so-called new psychoactive substances. What are cannabimimetics? They are synthetic analogs. They are not natural. And they are analogs of the natural cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are a group of compounds. We have about 70 different cannabinoids, naturally occurring ones, and they are isolated from cannabis sativum, which is the cannabis plant. And those compounds, the synthetic ones, they resemble the cannabinoids either in the structure or more importantly in the pharmacology, because they do bind. This is better, I think. Thank you. Those compounds, they are similar or analogs of natural cannabis or natural cannabinoids chemically, but more importantly pharmacologically, since they bind with the receptors of the endocannabinoid system, namely CB1 and CB2. So they are agonists when it comes to those receptors. Compared to THC, which is the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, some of these compounds even they possess 4 to 5 times more binding affinity to those receptors. They are sold as incense or air freshener on the internet health shops under many brand names. Particularly, they are called spice. And they are labeled usually with the so-called not for human consumption. So by this, they might be a legal, I would say, a product, but again, it depends upon the usage. Are they really legal? We'll see that. They are claimed to contain only natural, non-illegal compounds. Therefore, we will escape the limitations of the commercial distribution. So if they are containing only legal things like plants, and they are not for human consumption, just to ignite them, to have some essence out of those. So there is no need to legalize them. The legalization process will be much easier or wider than if they are intended for human consumption. We have several names. Actually, right now, we have more than 140 cannabimimetics, and the list is increasing dramatically. Almost every month, you will find a new one is in the market. And all of those are marketed under more than 500 brand names, like Spice, Spice Gold, Yucatan, Aroma, Spike 99, etc. This is just a few examples. I have here one, actually, which is this one, which is funky green stuff. And there is a story behind this one we'll talk about it. It's empty, by the way, okay? There is nothing inside. We consume those. But scientifically, not research. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. Usually there is this note, not for human consumption. Talking about the timeline, believe it or not, those compounds go back, the synthesis go back to the 1960s. So the first one synthesized during this era. 20 years back, later, they developed more of the synthetic cannabinoids to study human endocannabinoid system. Of course, the intention then was to apply them pharmacologically, to find some useful, I would say, usage for those synthetic cannabinoids. 1986 Controlled Substance Analog Enforcement Act, which is the decree or law, was signed, and this is this was in the United States. Then about 20 years later, 2004, synthetic cannabinoids started to appear on the internet, smart shops, and Western Europe as legal high or legal marijuana, Mary Jane. So they were using it until probably since 2004 until 2009. They were legal in a lot of European countries. 2008, the first seizure of synthetic cannabinoid products in the US was made. 2009, nine European countries, they started to ban some of the synthetic cannabinoids. Since this date, the illegal status of the legal highs started to become illegal, okay? And again, not all European countries, only 9, and not all synthetic cannabinoids, just a few of them. 2011, 5 new synthetic cannabinoids are placed on emergency Schedule 1 in the United States. One year later, 51 new synthetic cannabinoids were identified. So just in 1 year, they had that 51 new compounds, Synthetic Drug Abuse Prevention Act was signed. This one will encompass any synthetic drug which resembles those synthetic cannabinoids, the original ones. 2015, largest outbreak of adverse effects from synthetic cannabinoids up to date was reported in the United States. Because the wide usage of this one they started to find a lot of adverse effects, a lot of calls from emergency rooms, a lot of deaths. If you compare actually the synthetic cannabinoids death rate to the marijuana, the natural cannabis death rate, there is no one reported case of death due to natural marijuana. I'm not advocating for the use of natural marijuana, but I'm showing people are using synthetic cannabinoids as an alternative, a legal alternative to marijuana, but it is much more dangerous than marijuana. In 2016, actually, before that date, 2015, a movement started here actually to ban the importation of synthetic cannabinoids. Then in September, just about this month ago, Kuwait bans any synthetic cannabinoids and they replaced them on schedules 1 and 2. And probably you've read that in the newspaper. They call it chemical because it is a chemical, but actually chemical is a wide name, so they are synthetic cannabinoids anyway. Okay. We'll talk about some chemistry. We have several series actually. Those are only a few I'm just showing those series to probably see why they are called, for example, JWH. JWH series probably is the largest group of the synthetic cannabinoids. And this stands for John William Hoffman. This is a chemist scientist. He works for National Institute of Drug of Abuse. I mean, he's not a Roche chemist. I mean, quintessence chemist. He is well respectful chemist. So his seed is actually considered one of the largest group in the synthetic cannabinoids, and they are taking this abbreviation GWH hyphen then 3 numbers. Then we have the AM series again, were invented by another chemist called Alexandros Microyanis. Again, this guy is working in Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. Then we have the HU series, stands for I would say the place of the development, which is Hebrew University. Of course, the first 2 series abbreviated after the founder or the developer. This one is abbreviated after the place where it is developed. Then we have other series that be abbreviated after I would say the chemistry, like the CP series. This series was developed by Pfizer. CP stands for the so-called cyclohexylphenols. This moiety is found in those compounds. Then we have XLR series, were developed in Abbott laboratories. And I put this example to show that sometimes the abbreviation does not mean anything to us, but they do mean, for example, for the developer. I mean, some of the developers, particularly in the field of drug discovery and development, they are trying to avoid putting like initials of the developer or initial of something like will show some of the chemistry, like CB, for example. They're trying to avoid that. So they do mean something for other people, but not for us. I mean, if you look into the chemistry, they are heterogeneous. There is nothing clear. I'm not sure about the developer of those ones, but like an XLR to say, for example, X stands for Zyphir or whatever. Then we have the last series, we have the AB Pinaka, and those series actually, this part of the name stands for the chemistry, like for example, pentyl-indazole carboxamide, so P stands for pentyl, then indazole, INA, then carboxamide, CA, and this is the nucleus or the structure of those compounds. All right. As I just said, I mean, when they designed this compound, the intention was good, was not bad, not for, of course, addiction. They tried, the aim was actually to find something we get analgesia, can be used in the treatment of multiple sclerosis or with the AIDS people, or even with the chemotherapeutic patients, receiving patients. Continue with the chemistry, usually they are small molecules, as you've seen. Lipid soluble and volatile. Definitely they should be lipid soluble in order to bind with the receptor, particularly in the central nervous system. And of course they are volatile. Coming to the chemical classification, they are classified. They are very heterogeneous, to be frank with you, and sometimes you find it difficult to put some member in one of those 4 groups. So this is why probably the best, in my views, to classify them according to first one, classical cannabinoids, which they look like the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, the cannabidiol, and of course the cannabinol. We have the cyclohexylphenols, hybrid cannabinoids, then aminoalkyl indole, and this group is the largest. Then we have others, like miscellaneous kind of. With the classical cannabinoids, they are built based on the dibenzopyran. This is the dibenzopyran structure, this is the dibenzo, and this is the pyran structure of the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. This is the psychoactive compound in the natural cannabis, in the cannabis. So when they synthesize the classical cannabinoids, they try to keep the requirement, the structural requirement for the activity, the so-called SAR, structure-activity relationship. So they found that actually there should be an alkyl group in carbon 3, if we start numbering from here, 1, 2, carbon 3, should contain a side chain alkyl group The length is not important. You might find it, but usually the optimum length is 5 carbons, but you might find 6, 8 carbons, or even 4 or 3. It doesn't really matter the length that much, but definitely it will affect the lipophilicity. Also, we should have a phenolic hydroxyl group on carbon number 1, and we should have a substituent. Doesn't matter what substituent it is. It might be methyl, might be methylene hydroxy or hydroxymethylene group, but it should be on this carbon, which is carbon number 9. The unsaturation, which gives the delta 9, the denotion delta 9 means there is a double bond between carbon 9 and 10. It's not really important. This etheric linkage is not really important. But the trans, if you have this pion, the trans enantiomer is important, okay, for the activity. From those, we have those 2 examples. If you can look, you will find similarity, very similar actually to the delta 9 hydrocannabinol. The second group, which is the cyclohexyl phenols, as I said before, you have here the cyclohexyl and you have a phenol. We have different series. They usually start with the CP. 5 minutes on. 5 minutes. So then we have the hybrid cannabinoids. This hybrid cannabinoids, you have something related to the delta 9. Then, of course, you have another side chain. The group number 4, we have the amino-alkyl indoles. And we have subclasses. We have the naphthoyl indoles. This is the naphthoyl group, and we have the indole over here. And of course, the examples are the JWH series. We have the phenylacetyl indoles. This is a phenyl, and this is an acetyl group. So we have phenylacetyl indoles. Then you have the benzoyl indoles. Those are the benzoyl. Then those are the indoles, and we have different series: RCS, AN, and WEN. We have under others. We have adamantine indoles. So those are indoles, and this is the adamantane side chain. Then we have, of course, and this is a growing group, the so-called N-oxobutyl indoles, because we have endazoles. We have the endazole over here, and then we have the oxobutyl derivative. For example, the pinaka. All right. Talking about the molecular evolution of the synthetic cannabinoids, we have them in generations, as you can see. We start with the first generation. Then a slight modification, just for example, addition of a fluoro atom will make second generation. Then we change the side chain, will give us the third generation. And this is started since 2010, and right now, in 2013, we have the third generation. Then the fourth generation, another modification. Fifth, sixth, and seventh generation ended up, and this is actually the Q3 until 2014 till now. It's not closed yet. All right. Talking about the pharmacology, we know that they are agonists, and we have CB1 and CB2. CB1 usually is found in the central nervous system, while CB2 in the peripheral nervous and immune systems. I'll just skip this. Delta cannabinol, they are agonists of CB1. CBN, which is cannabinol, is agonist of CB2. However, cannabidiol is stated here, there is no receptor, but in fact, right now, it is marketed well in the research stage. They are formulating that in oil to treat epilepsy in infants. Just to give you some idea about the physical effects, between synthetic cannabinoids and marijuana. For example, the regular marijuana will elevate the blood pressure. Okay, we know that. But with synthetic cannabinoids, it will be extremely high to the level of the stroke. I'll just pick a few things. For example, of course, marijuana will increase the heart rate. Over here, will increase the heart rate, and to the degree that it might cause heart attack. Here we have relaxed muscles. Here we have cramp seizures and temporary paralysis. This is why some of those people who are on high dose of synthetic cannabinoids, they are reported to the emergency room with a choking because they couldn't breathe because of this convulsions and seizures. Again, here are the psychological effect of both marijuana and synthetic cannabinoids. Some are common. This is why people are using, I would say, the synthetic cannabinoids. So the desired effect they have they are looking for. This is what the addict is seeking: mood relaxation, altered perception or awareness of the time and place. However, we do have adverse effects, and they are more severe, like vomiting, hallucination, seizures, hypertension, as we said, tachycardia, myocardial infarction, and death. As I told you before, there is no death before has been reported to the marijuana. Is there any withdrawal symptoms? Yes. And several symptoms were reported, like headaches, anxiety, depression, and irritability. With the legalization, there is a problem. Since they are a newly drug and they are developed very fast with simple mild modification. So the legal detection, a legal issue is a problem, and of course the detection also issue is a problem. So for example, there is no simple identification method right now. Simply, we don't have any library, and any library we have it, soon enough it will be out of date. There is no international control by the United Nations over those drugs. The availability of the roach pharmacists, those who can sell these things without any consciousness, and of course the availability of the internet, as just an example to show you the simple modification over here. We received, this is just to give you an example, we received this bag about 3 years back in 2013 from the General Administration of Criminal Evidences. They couldn't identify the compound inside. They are sure it is like marijuana because the addict showed some symptoms resembling like marijuana smoking. Simply we just went through chromatographic purification, then spectral analysis, and it ended up to be indeed the synthetic cannabinoid, which is A-fibinaca. All right, in the legalization, we have the individual compound scheduling. Most of the countries started with this, and we have the genetic approach, which covers the analogs, and most of the countries right now are in this state. For the legalization process in Kuwait, started in March 15, 2015. A resolution came out to ban the importation of spice or bath salt, just importation. Then later in September 4, 2016, a decree, this is the decree number, came out that several synthetic cannabinoids were added to Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, and this is the decree, just came less than a month. But there is a problem in this decree. It is found in Kuwait Today and Kuwait Al-Yawm, which is the official newspaper. The problem is actually individual compounds and metabolites are only mentioned. There is the analog or analogs are excluded from this decree. More work is needed, definitely. Of course, we need standards for identification. We need to put a database. We need, of course, collaboration, international, regional, and international collaboration, of course, to control those things. So at the end, legal highs are there, legal, not anymore, at least here in Kuwait. Thank you. So receiving a question or at the end? Okay. Any question? At the end? Okay, thank you.